Man, many of you have heard the news by now. LaMelo Ball just got exposed on Twitter. Now, of course, LaMelo being one of these guys who's one of the most popular players really in basketball and social media throughout the internet, everyone is going to notice every single little move that he does. And especially hooping in the playoffs, playing in the NBA, man, you know that's going to make you even more popular and have even more people really put eyes on you. Now, there was actually a video that was released of LaMelo Ball smoking, and man, the internet is going crazy. He's trending on Twitter right now, and a lot of people feel different ways about this situation. Now, on one hand, some people are basically stating that because this is legal and that the NBA is not even drug testing players anymore for this time period, that it really doesn't matter what LaMelo Ball is doing. Now, what's interesting is when this video was actually posted prior about 2 hours before his team actually got on the court and started hooping, the Hornets. Now, it's crazy because if he was doing this before the game, it's kind of funny, but at the end of the day, man, I think people are somewhat blowing it out of proportion because, again, LaMelo is just doing what he has to do. If that's how he calms his nerves, on one hand, I could see why people could agree with that side of the argument. And many people are even, on the other hand, blaming them losing because LaMelo Ball was out here smoking. Now, that's tough. Now, honestly, real fans know that this squad was losing, and it definitely wasn't because of LaMelo Ball doing things outside of the court. I think LaMelo's been pretty solid so far, and I think whenever we entangle things that they're doing all outside of the court and really try to blame and make it the reason why an entire team is losing just because of one player, man, you just can't do that. It almost reminds me of even when someone like Bronny James got caught smoking, but I personally believe this situation was completely different. Now, remember, Bronny is actually a minor, and in that case, Bronny was pretty young smoking, and he honestly shouldn't have been doing that. I think technically it's probably a really bad PR stunt. Of course, you're gonna get negative media attention, and man, the memes of Bronny James and what would happen when LeBron would actually come home were insane. And people are even saying JR was basically the one who was influencing Bronny to do it. Now, that's pretty funny, but again, LaMelo Ball is a grown man at this point. He's making his own bread. He lives under his own house. And yes, I think partially it could be a bad PR stunt for sure. But on the other hand, man, he does make these own decisions, and he's grown, man. He's got to learn and make these decisions. Now, on the other hand, Bronny James had an eventful last weekend playing EYBL. Now, of course, you guys know whenever you're playing against the top prospects in the country, man, there's going to be pressure on your team. But the way this Bronny James and Strive for Greatness squad was looking, honestly, it was looking embarrassing. Now, number one, they actually went 0-3 during the entire weekend, which is wild because, of course, man, we would think Strive for Greatness would have some of the best players on their team, that they would be winning games, that they would at least be competitive, but they were actually getting blown out in all of these games, which is even more embarrassing, especially for someone like Bronny James, who's considered one of the best players in the country, or at least a top prospect, arguably. And man, they were just getting killed out here. Now, what's really interesting was actually two of the players weren't even playing on their squad. Now, JJ Taylor, who's another top-ranked hooper, actually left the Strive for Greatness team and went to Mac Irvin Fire, while Big Ja, many of you guys know he actually plays with OTE, he was actually not there either. And mainly, I'm thinking the main reason why he wasn't there was because OTE is actually having a day where they're bringing in professionals, basically coaches and NBA scouts, to watch people play, and Ja was most likely preparing for this and decided to miss the EYBL game. Now, during the weekend, Bronny was actually averaging just around 12 to 13 points, which is solid. It's crazy that the first time I think we really see Bronny starting to put up consistent numbers and lead his team, man, they lose some hoopers on their team and they start losing games. Of course, no one can win these games by themselves, and it's just crazy how once this dude consistently starts putting up and playing pretty well, he's hooping, he's gaining confidence, definitely looking much more aggressive, but then they just start taking L's on the court and are losing by 30, 40 points to teams that they should actually be competitive with. A lot of people are even saying Strive for Greatness squad has no business even being in EYBL, and that's crazy to me because, of course, man, this is a team that you would want to market and would have to be be competitive. It's LeBron's team. If it's not competitive, man, they're definitely doing something wrong. Now, people can always switch teams, and I think there may even be probably some more hoopers that will try to join this Strive for Greatness squad because, man, honestly, you can gain a lot from playing with Bronny James. Now, yes, he's starting to be more dominant on the court, but man, if you play for a team like this, think of the eyes that are on you. Man, every single video that puts a title of Bronny James in, or Bryce James, or Mike Price, or Amari Bailey, this kind of circle here, man, think about the views you will get, and especially you being a hooper trying to get more offers, it would make sense for a lot of other hoopers to come and transfer and play with Bronny. We've seen a lot of people do it, especially back in the day, Blue Chips squad, when Bronny used to play. He played at one time with people like Mikey Williams, even Dior Johnson played on his squad at a time, and you can't say, man, the impact and the type of popularity somebody like Mikey gained from playing with Bronny James was just crazy. Whenever you're playing with basically a celebrity at that age, even to say, definitely Bronny James didn't make Mikey Williams, but partially he definitely gave him a platform to where Mikey could really shine. And even someone like Dior Johnson as well, for sure. Also, Sky Clark played with him, but I believe he already had really a lot of clout for sure. Now, whenever we talk about Bronny James as well, man, a lot of people are wondering and starting to speculate, where is this dude going to college? Of course, he's playing in EYBL. He's starting to look definitely more aggressive, much more like a top-ranked hooper, but where is he actually going? Now, what's interesting is some people were even speculating, stating Bronny James was going to end up going to Duke, and man, it's a possibility. I think Bronny definitely is going to, number one, go to college, and that's a fact because, of course, his father presses and is so stressed on education. He wants his sons to get an education and really get the things that he didn't get. So for sure, his son's going to college is a highly likely possibility. Of course, he wants to play with Bronny as well, but honestly, looking at how Bronny is hooping right now, I don't know if he'll be able to be a one and done type of player. Even some people were speculating, yes, when Bronny graduates, he's probably going to be able to go straight from high school to the NBA, but I actually don't think that would be a good move at all for him. He really is one of these guys who I think for sure needs to make sure he's developed and worked on his game before he makes the big jump. We see it time and time again, man. People like Zaire Wade jump too early, try to get to the league. Even a little bit of Kyrie Walker as well, try to get to the league, and then you get stuck in the G League or stuck in a position you don't want to be just because you didn't take the necessary steps and all the time that you really needed to develop and grow and grind and work on your game. Now, what's crazy is I've even seen people say Bronny is not even good enough to go to Duke. And that's crazy and clearly shows people are just trolling and not watching this dude play at all, because he's definitely developing and looks much more like a top ranked guard in the country. But a lot of other schools are in the talks. Some people are even saying Texas, which would be interesting to see Bronny go. But again, he technically has not said where or really shown any interest in any specific school. Now, there were also rumors that he may be actually thinking about going to a HBCU, and I think that for sure would change college basketball, because if you have someone like Bronny James, the son of an NBA player and specifically really popular in the high school basketball scene, go somewhere like a HBCU, I think that could really change how college basketball and where people even want to go in the future. But of course, I think it could somewhat be harder for Bronny to get to the league that way. But again, Bronny already has the eyes on him, so I definitely think he's just going to have eyes on him wherever he goes. So it's not the biggest about what program, as long as he's developing, playing against good competition, and actually getting better. Now, did you know Zaire Wade is in huge trouble? This dude just made a move in his career that could ruin things forever. So click that video on the screen because, man, I feel bad for Zaire Wade.